Early legislative elections were held on 30 January 2022 to elect members of the Assembly of the Republic to the 15th Legislature of the Third Republic. All 230 seats to the Assembly of the Republic were at stake. On 27 October 2021, the budget proposed by the Socialist minority government was rejected by the Assembly of the Republic. The Left Bloc (B) and the Communist Party (PCP) joined the right-wing parties and rejected the budget. On 4 November 2021, the President of the Republic, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, announced a snap election to be held on 30 January 2022. These elections were the third elections to happen in Portugal during the COVID-19 pandemic. As the country had both presidential elections and local elections in 2021. Background: Politics of Portugal. The President of Portugal has the power to dissolve the Assembly of the Republic by their own will. Unlike in other countries, the President can refuse to dissolve the Parliament at the request of the Prime Minister or the Assembly of the Republic and all the parties represented in Parliament. If the Prime Minister resigns, the President must appoint a new Prime Minister after listening to all the parties represented in Parliament, and then the government programme must be subject to discussion by the Assembly of the Republic, whose members of Parliament may present a motion to reject the incoming government. Leadership changes. Liberal Initiative. Early in December 2019, the Liberal Initiative (EL) elected a new leader after their previous leader, Carlos Guimarães Pinto, stepped down. Their sole MP, João Cotrão de Figueiredo, was elected as leader with 96% of the votes in the party's convention. The results were the following. Social Democratic Party. The Social Democrats (PSD), the largest opposition party, held a two-round leadership election on the 11th of January and the 18th of January 2020. 3 candidates were in the race. Incumbent PSD leader Rui Rio, former PSD Parliamentary Caucus leader Luís Montenegro, and current deputy mayor of Cascais Miguel Pinto Luz. Around 40,000 party members, out of almost 110,000, were registered to vote. In the first round, on the 11th of January, Rui Rio polled ahead with 49% of the votes against the 41.4% of Luís Montenegro and 9.6% of Miguel Pinto Luz, with both Rio and Montenegro qualifying for a second round. A week later, on the 18th of January, Rui Rio was re-elected as PSD leader with 53.2% of the votes, against the 46.8% of Luís Montenegro. In both rounds, turnout of registered members achieved almost 80%. The results were the following. A leadership election in the PSD was held on 27 November 2021. The original date was 4 December 2021, but the party voted to advance the date in 1 week. MEP Paulo Rangel was a candidate for the leadership. He faced incumbent PSD leader Rui Rio, who announced his re-election bid on 19 October 2021. Around 46,000 party members, out of more than 85,000 active members, were registered to vote. On 27 November 2021, Rui Rio defeated Paulo Rangel by a 52.4% to 47.6% margin and was re-elected for a third term as party leader. The results were the following. CDs, People's Party. CDs, People's Party also elected a new leader after former leader Assunção Cristas stepped down. after the party's worst result ever in a general election in the 2019 elections. 5 candidates were in the race. People's Youth leader Francisco Rodrigues dos Santos. Current CD's MP from Aveiro João Almeida. Former MP Felipe Lobo do Avila. Abel Matos Santos and Carlos Meira. The new leader was elected in a party congress between 25 and 26 January 2020. In that congress, in Aveiro City, Francisco Rodrigues dos Santos was elected leader with 46.4% of the delegates' votes, against the 38.9% of João Almeida and 14.5% of Felipe Lobo do Avila. Abel Matos Santos and Carlos Meira had stepped down from the race near the end of the Congress but before the vote, in support of Rodrigues dos Santos. The results were the following. People Animals Nature. In March 2021, the People Animals Nature PAN leader and spokesperson, André Silva, announced he was leaving the leadership of the party to dedicate more time to his family. A party congress to elect a new leader was scheduled for the weekend of 5 to 6 June 2021. For that leadership congress, only one candidate stepped forward. Inés Sousa Real, the party's parliamentary leader. On 6 June, Inés Sousa Real was elected as leader of PAN with 87.2% of the votes in the party's congress in Tomar. The results were the following. Date. According to the Portuguese constitution, an election must be called between 14 September and 14 October of the year that the legislature ends. The election is called by the President of Portugal but is not called at the request of the Prime Minister. However, the President must listen to all of the parties represented in Parliament and the election day must be announced at least 60 days before the election. If an election is called during an ongoing legislature dissolution of Parliament, it must be held within 55 days. Election day is the same in all multi-seat constituencies, and should fall on a Sunday or national holiday. The next legislative election should, therefore, have taken place no later than 8 October 2023. However, due to the rejection of the 2022 state budget, during which the left-wing parties joined the right-wing parties and voted against the proposal, a snap election was called for 30 January 2022. Electoral system. The Assembly of the Republic has 230 members elected to 4-year terms. Governments do not require absolute majority support of the Assembly to hold office, as even if the number of opposers of government is larger than that of the supporters, the number of opposers still needs to be equal or greater than 116. Absolute majority. For both the government's program to be rejected or for a motion of no confidence to be approved. The number of seats assigned to each district depends on the district magnitude. The use of the DONT method makes for a higher effective threshold than certain other allocation methods such as the Hare quota or Saint League method, which are more generous to small parties. The distribution of MPs by electoral district was the following. Voting during COVID-19. In January 2022, Portugal was experiencing rising infection rates as the SARS-CoV-2 Omicron variant had a prevalence of 93% among variants in the country. Because of this situation, thousands of voters were likely to be in isolation on election day. To address this situation, the government asked for legal advice regarding the issue from the Portuguese Attorney General's office. On 19 January 2022, the government announced that isolated voters would be able to vote on election day and recommended that these voters cast a ballot during the last hour the polls were open. Between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. 30 January. Early voting. Voters were also able to vote early, which happened 1 week before Election Day. On 23 January 2022, voters had to register between 16 and 20 January 2022 in order to be eligible to cast an early ballot. By the 20 January deadline, 315,785 voters had requested to vote early, a number well below expectations. On 23 January, 285,848 voters, 90.5% of voters that requested, cast an early ballot. Parties. Parliamentary factions. The table below lists the parties represented in the Assembly of the Republic during the 14th legislature, 2019 to 2022, and that also contested the 2022 elections. Non-represented parties. The table below lists smaller parties not represented in the Assembly of the Republic that contested the elections in at least one constituency. Rejected. A coalition between the People's Monarchist Party (PPM) and the United Party of Retirees and Pensioners (PURP) was rejected by the Constitutional Court because of several irregularities. Campaign period. Party slogans. Candidates' debates. A total of 38 debates were scheduled for these elections. CDU leader Geronimo de Souza will only attend the debates on the main channels of each of the three main networks, RTP1, SIC and TVI. Therefore, he will be absent from the debates in the news channels of the three networks, SIC Notícias, RTP3 and CNN Portugal. Shortly after, the debates between CDU leader Geronimo de Souza and other party leaders on the cable channels of RTP, SIC e TVI were cancelled, thus reducing the number of debates to 32. On the 11th of January 2022, the PCP announced that Geronimo de Souza would undergo urgent vascular surgery on the 12th of January and would be out of the campaign trail for 10 days, thus being absent in the debates. João Oliveira substituted Geronimo de Souza in the debate with PSD leader Rui Rio. Radio Observador organized 2-hour-and-a-half debates with the head candidates for the Porto and Lisbon districts. The Porto debate aired on the 11th of January and the Lisbon debate aired on the 14th of January. Opinion polling results. National summary. Distribution by constituency. See also, elections in Portugal. List of political parties in Portugal. Politics of Portugal. Notes. References. External links. Marxist opinion poll tracker. Official results site. Portuguese Justice Ministry. Portuguese Electoral Commission. ERC. Official publication of polls. Average of polls and seat simulator.